So Shovel Knight's a game that's still good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game that you should still play if you haven't played. And now, coming on to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, they've added exclusive content to each of these things, an exclusive boss fight, one possibly more elaborate than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first time that new stuff has been added to Shovel Knight in one of its ports? Because it's on everything.
Yes, this is the first time they've added stuff.
Why? Why do you think do you like that they added this stuff? I mean, do you think that's a smart thing for them to spend their time on instead of working on Shovel Knight 2?
Well, I mean, from their perspective, they're trying to make money. They're trying to get it to as many people as possible. It didn't come out on the sort of biggest consoles of the time, the PS4 and Xbox One. So I think it's smart on their end. And fighting the Battletoads and fighting Kratos, that's pretty cool. I don't know if it's so cool that you absolutely have to spend money on it if you already have the game, but if you don't, it's definitely a nice bonus.
And I think that can be a lot of people. I think there's a lot of Xbox One, a lot of next-gen console owners who just never happen to check the game out. And we all had different experiences. Like, I played it on 3DS. Did you play it on PC? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was PC also.
PC for your first play.
You want to know one of the best feelings that I get is when I review a game and I play it and I'm in love with it and I give it a super high score, and then I return to it like almost a year later or a long time later, I'm like, yep, nope, still great, still awesome.
Yeah.
That's Shovel Knight. Like, I just, even playing it for an hour yesterday, I was completely in love.
It's timeless and has, although it doesn't have like specific Naked Gun type references, like it is an homage to a lot of old classic platformers of yore, and so it does make sense that you would get an older character and a newer character, that would somehow, maybe Battletoads fit a little bit more. So let's start with Battletoads. Battletoads seems to be the winner as far as the boss fights go. It looked like it was like a 3-stage boss fight.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was different phases, and the first phase is going down like the rope that you go in Battletoads, and you're fighting on it, and it's such a cool like rush of nostalgia. And it's like a really fun boss fight, actually, like mechanic-wise. Then the second phase is, of course, the hover bike, the infamous hover bike everyone knows. And you're fighting one of the Battletoads, I don't remember his name. But you're doing like the dodges from like the blocks and the jumps and everything like that. So you're essentially playing through Battletoad levels while fighting bosses.
The hoverbike section looked easier than the actual hoverbike section
on the NES.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Which is really interesting if you think about the difficulty of Battletoads compared to Shovel Knight. Because Shovel Knight does like to be difficult in parts, but it's like we're not going to go there. We're not going to go Battletoads level. That'd be insane.
Yeah. I think my favorite part is the final fight.
Right, yeah.
Against Rash, because it's just, you're sort of in an arena and you're just fighting Rash, and his fists get bigger and he gets a big boot. But the coolest part is he calls in the other guys. So you get Zit swinging on a rope. And what's the...
Pimple?
Pimple, yeah. You get Pimple coming in on a hoverbike. And that's kind of having all of it combined is really cool.
And the special reward you get for beating him.
Yeah.
The Battletoad armor, I forgot exactly what it's called. But the attacks mimic the old Battletoad attacks, like the same sound effects even, and like how your like fist grows really huge instead of your shovel, and you get that awesome ram.
Yeah. Sorry.
So why go back to your original armor if you get the Battletoad armor?
So
that's how I felt with the Kratos armor. It was really, really powerful. So
I think the Kratos armor is a little more OP.
Oh, interesting.
Well, at least with the Battletoads armor, it is very, very powerful. You do more damage. But the thing that I was noticing is it can make certain sections of the game a little bit more difficult. When you do the downward thrust with your shovel, it's so quick.
Same thing with Kratos.
That a lot of times when you have to like use the shovel bounce to get across platforms, it can actually screw you up if you're familiar with the other timing. Also, the other thing, I like to play with the D-pad, and with the Battletoads armor, you can double tap to dash. So now you can dash as Shovel Knight. Really useful in a lot of cases. If you're in very narrow areas with a lot of enemies, sometimes you'll want to move and you'll accidentally double tap and kill yourself. So it's powerful, but sometimes if you're not careful, that power can turn bad on you. Also, when you do the attacks as Toad Shovel Knight, you bounce back every time you hit somebody. So you can get into a situation where you're fighting somebody and then you bounce back and you fall in like a pool of lava.
Which is great. I think that fits in with the theme of all the armors in the game. Some pluses, some negatives that go with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with Kratos gear, you basically get like the Shovel of Chaos, like your attack range like doubles basically.
Super cool.
And your attack speed. And you can do what Kratos can, where he doesn't like slow attack all the way down. He attacks in these kind of like breaks. You know, like if you keep attacking, he'll just like drop and then attack some more, and then drop and then attack some more. But yeah, at the same time, we were talking about before, like it's almost like an arc breaker. Like if you jump a Shovel Knight and then you go into the downward thrust position, you'll still land kind of where you were falling. Whereas if you hit it with Kratos, and it sounds like the same with the Battletoads suit, you drop immediately from that point. And so yeah, platforming. It wasn't impossible. It took me a while to get through a couple of the areas, but
I think the Shovel of Chaos is the best name for anything.
I don't know if it's the Shovel of Chaos. I mean, it should
be.
It
if it's
like,
not, it should be. What was the Kratos fight like?
The Kratos fight was fun. It was only in 2 stages. The first one, you know, he's obviously got the Blades of Chaos, so if he just wants to attack across like the whole battlefield, he's going to do it. And he would do this grapple move where he would like throw the blades into one part of the wall and then pull himself there, so you had to like either jump over him or dodge him. And then the whole thing crumbles and he drops down on platforms and kind of does the same thing. And if you fall, you'll just take falling damage. You'll reappear at the top and lose like a third of your health, but it's still like a third, so you can only do that 1 or 2 times.
Gotcha.
And if you jump because you're falling, like you get a little bit of a high jump, so you can like make it up onto all the platforms and stuff. So it's like tricky to like actually get on a platform while he's on it, but you got to get in there if you're doing damage. But yeah, it was pretty fun. I did that fight right after I saw the Battletoads fight, so I couldn't help but be slightly underwhelmed in that that was like a 3-stage thing with 3 different characters and all sorts of crazy stuff.
I think the fight though with Kratos, like the first phase especially, is actually like cooler though. I like that.
The animation's really great. The music comes in, and so it's fun to hear like a 16-bit version of that music.
Yeah.
The dialogue's pretty funny too. It's funny to hear like Shovel Knight being all, you know, because Shovel Knight's always putting his foot in his mouth, but he doesn't mean to. Like, he's always saying the wrong things to all these villains and pissing them off, but he's just this really nice guy. You know, he's like really trustworthy and really loyal, and so he's really confused like when he meets Kratos, and it's funny to like beat him and have Kratos just like throw the hood up and like march out at the end. But so yeah, here we are talking about Shovel Knight. I mean, mission accomplished, right? Like, you just got to add this thing. Knowing what you've known about Shovel Knight, beating the game maybe once or more than once, like how hard is this to do? How much time do you think they spent on these fights?
Making it? Probably a little while, actually. I bet as soon as they finished like making it originally, they just immediately went to it.
To recreate the rope thing? I mean, that's unnecessary. That seems like a
so
labor of love. They're like, well, you know what we got to do? We got to do hover bikes. That's what this game is,
and that's why it's so good.
You know hover bikes in Shovel Knight? How do we do that? Yeah.
I've learned just talking to various people that however long you think something takes, it takes way longer than that. You know, I didn't see the Kratos fight, but especially like you guys said, thinking about the Battletoads fight and how well they wanted to prey on your nostalgia. That probably took quite a while. I wonder if it delayed like the Plague Knight DLC that's coming out for Shovel Knight.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not like throwing any accusations. I'm just genuinely curious.
I'm not here to accuse anybody, Ben.
No.
Just want to get the facts.
But you brought it up earlier. At this point, what would you want out of Shovel Knight 2? Do we just kind of is the core of it so good that we just kind of want more, or how do we want them to take that game?
I mean, obviously, we need some Shovel Knight, Shield Knight co-op. Clearly, right?
We need
there's
Shield Knight, definitely.
There's not really a question there.
I like
so
that
it's like
a
there's
lot.
lots of platforming stuff where like she can raise up the shield and like knock him up
so
into
fun.
certain areas and stuff like that.
Yes.
But this isn't a Shovel Knight 2 conversation. The question is, to wrap things up, when, say, Shovel Knight 2 does come around, are they going to lock themselves into the Soul Calibur route where they are like, oh, okay, we're going back to Xbox, going back to PlayStation 4, back to PC? Do we have like a Gordon Freeman fight? Do we have
like a Link
Team
fight,
Fortress fight or
Mega
like
Man fight?
I don't think so. I think
Garage
this just
Hellscream fight.
okay, that I'd be in for. This just happened because those versions came out so much later, so I think it was kind of like a gesture of goodwill. I really would kind of get bummed out. As cool as those fights are, I would get a little bit bummed out if like that became the thing. You know, what I care about Shovel Knight is it does an excellent job of establishing its own world and making me care about its own characters, despite being very evocative of things I loved in my childhood. And so that's how I would want it to continue. I don't think it's better than needing that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Kratos and Battletoads, evocative of childhoods for sure.
Yeah.
And good times. Thanks for checking them out, guys.
Yeah.